Hello and welcome to this session where we will discuss the Webex Suite for hybrid work. Let's start with a perspective on hybrid work. Joining us today is Carolina Milanesi from Creative Strategies. Carolina, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Carolina, you've been doing extensive research on trends around hybrid work and collaboration solutions. Can you share some of the observations on the key trends?
Absolutely. Everybody's talking about hybrid work we've been talking about it for the past 6 months. We were hoping we would be in a different place, but the Delta variant has changed our plans. And I think that is one of the trends that I see, the companies that want to be ready for whatever is coming next. And not thinking that they have everything set in place, because returning to work is going to be much more complicated than not when we all went remote. At the core of that is the fact that one size doesn't fit all. And that's true for remote work and hybrid work across the board. So hybrid means different things to different organizations. As employees, we are all in a different place. We might have younger kids that are not vaccinated. We feel maybe a little bit more concerned about going back to the office. There's a lot playing into it. The second trend linked to that is that talent is way more important today. It's a bit sad to say, really, because it always should have been important, but it's more important today than it's ever been before. And so organizations are really paying attention to how that hybrid work, that flexible work is going to play in keeping talent happy and engaged, because at the end of the day, that is what is going to make your business successful. And lastly, I would say is the role of technology has changed during COVID. The acceleration that we saw in digital transformation has really switched the mindset that most organizations have had from doing the same thing, but just using technology for it, to really using technology as an enabler of new business model and new workflows.
I think these are really interesting observations. The one that stuck with me is when you said it's not one size fits all. So different parts of the company are facing different challenges and they have to think differently about it. So in that light, when companies are looking to choose their collaboration solutions or platforms, how would you recommend, or what are the key factors they should take into account?
If we start with that one size does not fit all, it's flexibility. The first thing that you're looking for. You talked about you said the word platform. Is really a platform, a solution that you're looking for. It's not a piece of software or a device. It is a solution and a platform. That flexibility, both in how you are enabled to deliver the solution within your organization for the different roles within your workplace and your staff and talent, is important, but also how that platform and structure is going to allow you to connect with your customers and your partners. So first of all, flexibility. Second, ease of use. Gone are the days where a device or a piece of software or a service is not as intuitive to use as a solution that is catering to a consumer instead of an employee. At the end of the day, employees are consumers, and IT decision makers need to see them as such. Security. Back in the day, security and ease of use were a bit of an oxymoron. I don't know why it was so difficult to have both. And now we're at the point where we have to be secure, especially with employees working from different locations. Securing your assets is the most important thing. So there's a mindset switch from securing the device or securing the identity to securing the IP and the data that you're using within the organization. And then I'll say it last, but it should be the forefront of everything. And I know that for Cisco, this is top of mind, is inclusivity, is looking at solutions and platforms that make everybody feel included, everybody have a voice, And so when it comes to collaboration, it doesn't matter if I'm in the office or I'm at home, or in my case, I'm surrounded by really loud dogs in a temporary accommodation. I have the same voice at the table as you have in the office.
That's great, Carolina. That speaks to our DNA, really, the inclusivity, the focus around security. But the points you made around flexibility and ease of use being non-negotiable, I think are very, very pertinent. Great perspective. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for having me.
As we heard, hybrid work is indeed a company-wide transformation across your workforce, your workflows, and your workspaces. And that is exactly how Webex has been thinking about it in designing the Webex Suite. From team messaging, calling, meetings, to polling, whiteboarding, async video, to virtual and hybrid events of any size, Webex Suite brings to life all of these capabilities across PC and mobile apps, hardware devices, and a rich set of integrations. Now, instead of talking about these features and capabilities in abstract terms, let's use a persona-based lens. Let's focus on 5 personas that are common across most companies: HR, sales, marketing, facilities, and IT. I'll start with HR first. What are the top-of-mind things for HR? It's employee well-being, building trust and transparency across the organization, and fostering an inclusive culture. We all know meetings fatigue is real. The lines between home life and work life have blurred. And this fatigue and burnout drops the levels of employee engagement as well. Now throw into the mix a distributed workforce that is now going to be split between in-person and remote. Is everyone going to be able to contribute equally effectively? Is everyone going to feel included? Those are the key challenges. In short, well-being, engagement, and inclusivity. So how does Webex Suite help address these? First, vidcast. Reduce your meetings fatigue using vidcast. Record video messages, record your demos, presentations, and share those offline with your team. Super handy if your teams work across multiple time zones. You don't need to be in all those meetings at odd hours. Next, engage your employees with Slido and keep a pulse of your organization. Gone are the days when you would do this or do a pulse survey once a year. You might want to think about doing this every week in your meetings and also in your events. And lastly, include everyone through real-time translations and simultaneous interpretation. Help everyone contribute equally effectively, irrespective of the language of their preference. Next, we're going to look at the sales persona. Sales work extensively with folks outside of the company, and many times, many such companies at the same time. Now, these companies have likely also embraced hybrid work. And this makes 2 things really important for the sales persona. 1, easy intercompany collaboration, and 2, flexible communication modes. And a third factor that is equally important is workflow integrations. Nobody likes to switch context from the workflow that is routine for them. Let's see how Webex helps address all of these, starting with the easy button for intercompany collaboration. Webex's global federated identity means you could be collaborating with any number of people from any number of organizations within the same application instance and in the same context. That means whether you're messaging, you're joining meetings as guest, sharing documents and collaborating on those, all of that lives in the same application instance. Next, you could collaborate right within the CRM tool of your choice. And this is what I mean by not having to switch in and out of your routine workflow. The example shown over here is Salesforce.com. Webex has deep bidirectional integrations with these CRM tools, which means all of the Webex power can be used right within the Salesforce.com interface right in here. You could message, you could meet, or you could call people right from here. And when you call someone right from within Salesforce, realize you need a few other people in that conversation, simply elevate that meeting in one single step. That easy. We're going to touch upon marketing next. Through the pandemic, the in-person events came to a pause. But what we also learned was virtual events kind of work. Now, as the in-person participation comes back, marketers have a huge opportunity. Every single event that is in person, they have the ability to cast a much wider net by adding a virtual component to it. And that can make every single event a hybrid event. Now, what are the challenges with these hybrid events? First is interactivity. Can the in-person audience and the remote audience experience the same level of interactivity? Second, scale. How broad can you go? And the most important part, managing multi-day, multi-track hybrid events across in-person and virtual participation. Does a solution that does that well even exist? And let's see how Webex Suite helps address all of those questions. We'll start with engaging webinars with Webex Webinar. You can have really highly interactive webinars for up to 10,000 people at a time through Webex Webinar. And this is rich participation beyond just audio and video. You have custom layouts, stage layouts, captions, translations, practice sessions, and coming soon, breakout sessions. And you can go 10x on these very webinars by simply live streaming them, and live stream them to up to 100,000 attendees at a time. But as discussed, the real step forward is those multi-day, multi-track conferences. And Socio is a product that solves that really, really well. Socio provides a complete or comprehensive event orchestration and management capabilities that span in-person and virtual, pre-event, in-event, and post-event. So when you're thinking about things like registration and badging, that being done in person as well as virtually, in-person sessions and remote breakout sessions, and post-event analytics and follow-ups. Socio closes the loop on all of those, and it is truly the best hybrid event solution that is out there. The next two personas I'm going to talk about are two personas that are going to work closer together than they ever have, and that's facilities and IT. The top of mind for facilities, obviously, is enabling a safe return to work, followed by workspace optimization, and over time, reimagining the workplace. As we come back, companies are definitely going to have guidelines around occupancy, around safety and distancing, and environmental factors. And facilities will be the key enablers of that implementation. Facilities will also monitor or watch the usage patterns of the workspaces. From a very designated space-oriented model, it's going to go towards, or likely to go towards, ad hoc, demand and reserve type of a usage model. And when you have a platform that can give you a very detailed set of analytics and insights on all of those patterns, that's what's going to enable you to reimagine your workplace going forward. This is exactly where the Webex Suite shines. Let's start with digital signage, because the Webex portfolio, where you have a device for literally every type of space or configuration, you can readily turn digital signage on all of those, and you can really have a campus-wide coverage. That means you can show instructions, announcements, real-time sensor data, building occupancy, and availability right there. Speaking of availability, here's an interesting feature that is coming soon in the Webex app. We call it the Find and Reserve. As we go back onto the campus, we're going to run into this scenario where someone enters a building or a floor and needs to occupy a conference room or a desk for a specific set of hours or a period. Webex app, right from within the app, senses what are the Webex devices or rooms available nearby, senses their calendar availability, and allows you to book those right there. The workspace management module in Control Hub is where you see the comprehensive picture of the usage, occupancy, and analytics of all of these workspaces under facilities management. This is the wealth of data and insights they're looking for as they take on the challenge of reimagining our workplace for hybrid work. And in this endeavor, IT is the persona they are going to collaborate really, really closely with. IT went from managing 5 buildings pre-pandemic to 2,000 home offices during the pandemic. And now they're staring at managing those 5 buildings and 2,000 offices all together. And the challenges that creates it for IT are providing a consistent and continuous experience across home and office, providing a frictionless and comprehensive management so they can provide a high level of SLA, and lastly, security. with the hybrid work mode, data and information is going to flow through all kinds of network and all kinds of devices. As guardians of the privacy, data, and intellectual property of the companies, this is going to be a top-of-mind consideration for IT going forward. Let's once again look at how Webex Suite helps address these. First, the consistent and continuous experience. And the best example of that is Webex Whiteboarding. You have in-person participants whiteboarding on a physical Webex board where the remote attendees are participating and collaborating on the exact same whiteboard through their PC and mobile apps or personal devices. They can save, share, search, or resume where they left from anytime, anywhere. These are the kind of devices that are going to be deployed in hundreds. And that's where people see the value of single pane of management and a comprehensive management console. Webex Control Hub is the go-to for IT for all things Webex Suite. When you have hundreds of devices, thousands of users, and hundreds of workspaces to be managed, from provisioning to live troubleshooting, live monitoring, to analytics and insights, Control Hub is the one place to go. Last but not the least, security. And this is where Webex has been setting a really high bar over the period of time. With features like end-to-end encryption, end-to-end verified identity, Webex is now set to raise the bar once again. Next year, intellectual property protection with Webex goes to the next level, thanks to the robust and innovative audio watermarking technology being built by Webex. Stay tuned in the coming months for this. We looked at a lot of different use cases and examples or innovations around Webex Suite. All of these kind of advances is what continues to make Webex a platform our customers can trust, a platform that empowers their workforce for inclusive collaboration, a platform that gets their workplaces and workflows ready for the hybrid work transformation. All of this progress is only possible through close collaboration through our esteemed customers. And Chipotle is one such customer. We're very lucky to have Colin McGuire, Vice President of IT, Chipotle, joining us now. Colin, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the challenges your organization faced when everything was forced to move remote or online 18 months ago?
We went through a lot of challenges that we didn't anticipate over the last 18 months. And thankfully, we found ways to get through them. Essentially, in our restaurant operations, we had to completely shift how we were doing business and shifted mostly into digital and delivery almost overnight. That caused a lot of stress on the systems that we had in place and the corporate teams that were supporting those, who also had to switch to working remote completely, again, almost overnight. So using collaboration tools, using Webex, we were able to, from a support perspective, really stay in touch with each other and understand what was going on with the platforms, and keep those lines of communication open so that we could continue to support the restaurants.
That's a huge change for a business. Was it difficult to onboard those many employees remotely? And any lessons you could share with us through that?
A few different things. We were able to run events across our different corporate organizations where we could run what we called observation decks or war rooms, and really be in one place looking at the same data, all being face-to-face essentially from across the country and able to work through those issues. We also used team spaces to be able to chat about the problems that we were seeing live in real time and be able to go back to that. We were able to really stay connected, even though we were hours apart in cities and states apart from each other, to be able to continue to see what was important in supporting the restaurant.
With everything going remote, I have to imagine this impacted your workforce and operations, especially since so much of Chipotle's business happened inside the brick and mortar locations.
Yeah, we were able to really increase the frequency of our top-down communications, our town halls, through the use of events. by really having a high quality moderated experience where we use live video to deliver a message, and then use moderated Q&A to really bring in the perspective of the field, be able to answer questions live in that way, made for a good two-way communication without having 100 people on a video conference who are unmuting and sharing their screens and things like that. So it was a high value experience for everybody who participated.
Prior to Webex, what collaboration platform were you using, and what was your experience with it?
Webex was one of a sea of choices, and everybody was using their own tool. Really, we were after enterprise-grade support. We were after secure platform, and we were after quality. All of those things fed into us standardizing on the Webex platform, because there's no solution out there that really fits the bill on all three of those criteria.
Colin, what is your vision for hybrid work at Chipotle, and what role do you anticipate Webex playing in that vision?
We're going to see what the future looks like, and I think we have the tools in place to be able to adapt to what we need to. Over the last 18 months, we've onboarded something like 500 new employees. We've used Webex video technology for the interview cycle, the orientation, training, and really introducing people into the culture that is so important to Chipotle. We've been able to use tools like team spaces for projects or for just team communication to really get people who have never met each other able to have valuable interactions with each other. So whether we stay hybrid, whether we come back together as two different corporate centers, one in California and one in Ohio, I think that the culture has embraced the technology enough so that we can use it as a valuable tool to stay connected in the future.
Colin, thank you once again for joining. Thank you for being our customer, and thank you for the continued partnership.
Thank you.
Folks, that's it for Webex Suite, the most comprehensive hybrid work platform. Thank you for watching.